Welcome into the game. I'm John Kurtz here on News Radio KMAN. It feels like the dam is breaking. It's been so close in the last 5 years when K-State has had these slow starts. For the last 5 years, the Wildcats have started 3-3 or worse. Now they're 2-2, but they have been completely non-competitive in games against Power 5 competition. They go down 35-6 at West Virginia on Saturday, and we are at the point now where the play of the game that stands out to me is K-State down by 32 in the third quarter with 2 minutes left, punting from the West Virginia 35-yard line, and essentially punting on any last-gasp chance at winning that game. That is what's become of K-State football. This is not one of the same starts that have happened for the last 5 years. The Wildcats have turned it around every single one of those seasons and made a bowl game at least on the high end. You have a team that won 9 games, the Texas Bowl team of a couple of years ago. This feels so much different because this team has not been competitive. The offense has 1 touchdown against Power 5 competition. That came on a 23-yard drive set up by a turnover created by the defense. Listen, it has felt like this train has been teetering on falling off the rails in the last 5 years. Every one of these slow starts, you feel like it's about to come undone because K-State does not recruit well. That's been well documented. It's been a frustration for a long time. But as poor as the recruiting has been from a numbers standpoint, if you go look at Rivals 24/7, whatever it is, K-State was able to find every year 3 or 4 players that were, if not bona fide NFL players, bona fide first team or second team All Big 12 players. There ain't enough of them right now. Dalton Reisner is on that list. He's an offensive tackle. That's the list right now. This is another key difference in what's happening right now and what was happening before. Yes, there was frustration before, but it never boiled over into post-game press conferences like the drama-filled post-game presser that we experienced on Saturday in Morgantown. Okay? Bill Snyder himself, he is losing his cool in press conferences.
I went in the locker room, and I accepted the responsibility for being behind at the end of the ball game and at the halftime with our players because there were 2 touchdowns following that. But I can't coach a team that can't get 6 inches on a play.
That comment really threw the fans for a loop. A lot of people upset about that comment right there. How about Skylar Thompson, the starting quarterback, who has been publicly questioned at nearly every turn by his head coach? His frustration finally boiled over.
Were you surprised when you were taken out of the game in the third quarter?
Yeah, I was.
Does not sound like a very happy camper there. These are things that don't happen in Bill Snyder's program. They may be more commonplace in pro sports, maybe in other college programs, but this is not something we see at K-State, where Bill Snyder's whole career, that, by the way, in my opinion, has made him the greatest college football coach in the history of college football, he has been a control freak and being in control of every single little detail and poring over the details. That is what has given him this Hall of Fame coaching career. This was once the man that exerted so much control over his program that he was furious the team was served pats of butter instead of little tiny bowls of butter. He wanted the butter pats, and he was furious about it. That's a well-documented story. So is when they went to go play in Tokyo against Nebraska in the early 90s, he fought and fought to get his team on the correct side of the plane so that they'd be able to sleep better because the sun would not be shining in on the windows. You never got any information on injuries or anything like that. The program was locked down, and everybody was willing to do it because Snyder had that much control of the program. There is not that control right now. Information is free-flowing. All right, we already know that next week, Bill Snyder is going to start Alex Delton, really this upcoming week against Texas. He's going to make a quarterback change. That type of information would never get out, let alone get out this early in the week. We're still 5 days away from actually playing this game. And when people are talking and when information is getting out like this, which also, by the way, includes reporting now from Kellis Robinette and the Kansas City Star that Bill Snyder has disagreed with his offensive coaches this whole time, did not tell them that he was changing quarterbacks mid-game and putting Alex Delton in there. It was a surprise to everybody except Delton and Bill Snyder. That's now reported. And Bill Snyder has publicly been undercutting these guys at every chance that he gets, and that has created unhappy campers. Unhappy campers, and leaking is now happening. We see a lot of leaking in the White House these days, right? And agree or disagree with what the man in charge is doing. A lot of unhappy people. A lot of people that have not been happy with what's going on there. So there's a lot of leaks. That has not happened in Bill Snyder programs. But it's to the point now where this has been festering for a while. People were frustrated over the last couple of years. The fact that certain coaches wouldn't go out and recruit. The fact that certain coaches had too big of an ego. Dana Dimel, your former offensive coordinator, that they clashed with everybody else on the staff. And Bill Snyder didn't do anything about it. Now Dana Dimel's gone. The problems are still there. And that when everybody is losing, right? When losing happens, when winning is not there to be the coverall for all this, the dirty laundry starts to come out. And now they're losing. They don't look competitive. This doesn't look like a team that's going to be even making a bowl game now. And 78-year-old Bill Snyder is seeing some of the dirty laundry come out because people are not happy. I mean, think about this. Bill Snyder, at the beginning of the year, he has preferred Alex Delton the entire time at quarterback. The quarterback more geared towards running the football and running that old-school offense that Bill Snyder has preferred in Bill Snyder 2.0. His offensive coordinators, who he gave autonomy to, they have preferred Skylar Thompson, the quarterback that appears to have the higher upside. He certainly has a better arm, not a bad runner himself, and is a four-star recruit, which K-State has not had a quarterback in a long time if you pay any attention to the recruiting pedigree there. And instead of Bill Snyder either one, letting them go with it and building for the future around Skylar Thompson, who also, by the way, has an extra year of eligibility left as opposed to Delton. You can have a 3-year starter in Skylar Thompson. He did not want to just let his new offensive coordinators make that decision, be confident in what they're doing, and build towards a future with Skylar Thompson. He also didn't take over and say, look, Alex Delton's my guy. You're going to play Alex Delton at quarterback. That's the offense that I want to use. Either of those would be a fine, mature decision. But that's not what's happened. He allowed Skylar Thompson to start. He let his offensive coordinators do that. And all the while, along the way, we've been scratching our heads about how differently he talks about Thompson and Delton in public. It's been abundantly clear. Any stats, Pro Football Focus grades you look at, Delton's been outplayed by Skylar Thompson. But you would not know it at all by the way Bill Snyder talks about both quarterbacks, seemingly holding Thompson to a much higher standard than Delton. And a perfect example is Saturday when all those comments came to a total crescendo.
I thought Alex played extremely well. It was a matter of why the fourth quarter. I mean, the only response to it is, I probably should have played him a little bit earlier. But like I said, I thought he did a nice job, threw the ball around well, had a few runs, managed the game okay, did fine. How do I think Skylar played? Not as well as he's capable.
And that was it on Skylar Thompson, who had better numbers. He also had a better Pro Football Focus grade. He had a better quarterback rating. Whatever you want to look at, it favors Skylar Thompson playing the better football game. That's how he talks about the two. So Bill Snyder is losing his cool and essentially throwing his coordinators and quarterback under the bus publicly. Now what you have is two unhappy quarterbacks. Alex Delton was not happy that he didn't get the job at first and that he hasn't been playing as much. Skylar Thompson's now unhappy because he's played better and he's getting benched. And by the way, your two brand new co-offensive coordinators, Colin Klein, Andre Coleman, what are they thinking now? Coach didn't have enough faith to let me ride this thing out past just a 4-game rough stretch. Winning always keeps things together. And now some of the issues that have been hiding there underneath the surface are all coming out. And Bill Snyder has not tried to adapt and change where they have had shortcomings, recruiting-wise. Derek Young from K-State Online reported that K-State lost a recruit to Indiana, a 4-star recruit, recently, by the way, because the recruit said Bill Snyder didn't talk to him. Bill Snyder would not talk to a recruit. He couldn't be bothered to talk to this 4-star kid. So K-State didn't get him. And he goes to Indiana. Bill Snyder has always not let his assistants recruit in season. as much as they would like to because he's focused on player development and developing the players that are here right now. There is maybe one player you can make an argument for on this two deep right now that has improved from last year. So they have failed in the recruiting. Bill Snyder has not adapted to become better at recruiting, and now the player development is slipping as well. That's where we're at. Look, that Mississippi State game, which was the other loss this year, K-State got mauled 31-10 at home. It was not even that close. The excuse at the time was, well, hey, Mississippi State looks pretty good. They may finish second in the SEC West. That's the other thing that happened Saturday. You see what happened there? Kentucky beat Mississippi State by 3 touchdowns, man. 3 touchdowns. K-State's going to be an underdog everywhere left on the schedule. Right now, Bill Connolly's advanced numbers, they give K-State a 3% chance of going to a bowl. They have them as an underdog in every game the rest of the year except against lowly Kansas, where K-State is favored by 1 whole point. This season is barreling towards 4-8 or 3-9. And that's a harsh reality that you're going to have to face right now. And look, all these things that we're saying, running a Power 5 football program, managing a tricky quarterback situation, communicating well enough with everybody involved to keep people happy, doing all of these things at such a high level, all the demands and all the hours that it takes to work to run a Power 5 college football program, that is completely unreasonable to expect of a 78-year-old man. Bill Snyder is 78 years old. It is unreasonable to expect someone that old to be doing this. But you know what is reasonable? Expecting the head football coach at Kansas State, a Power 5 football program, to do all of those things. And that's the impasse that we're at with K-State football right now. Coming up, Matt Hall will join me. I'll ask him, is it the right decision to start Alex Delton at quarterback moving forward? You're listening to The Game. Commander in tweets on the state of the Big 12 right now. K-State rolls over Oklahoma State in the second half. Great! Now I can go after horsehair Mike Gundy and his third-rate quarterback. He knows nothing about football. A total con. Here's another one. Just heard Iowa State was fined $25,000 for rushing the field. Little Red Bull man should be fined for his sad, pathetic ratings. Nobody watches a blowout. Another one. About time that low IQ Lincoln decided to fire Psycho Stoops. Last time I saw Psycho Stoops, he was bleeding badly from a facelift at Mar-a-Lago. Oklahoma having a good defense is a total hoax and fake news. Sad. And finally, the FBI goes after Crooked Self. Total collusion between Crooked Self and slimy Adidas. Guess Crooked S couldn't delete all of his emails. Now do you understand the concept, Mason?
Yeah, I understand.
I railed on brackets yesterday and how I think it's getting to fantasy football levels for me. This is the most enjoyment I think I got out of an actual NCAA tournament bracket this year was walking our friend Crowley through filling this out. You can hear him on 101.5 K-Rock. Cares absolutely zero about sports. Mitch, you know Crowley pretty well. How would you assess his sports knowledge?
It doesn't exist.
Here's Andy Crowley.
Not to that level.
The number 1 seed in the West is Xavier. They take on Texas Southern.
You know what? Because I'm throwing my money away anyway. Let's go with Texas Southern, even though I'm not a fan of Texas. I don't trust anybody that starts a word with the letter X. It feels like it should come after a vowel. Is it X-Xavier? Is it Xavier? And also, it's like, hey, quit ripping off the X-Men here, okay?
Missouri, Florida State, the 8-9.
Missouri is like the Florida of the Midwest, I feel like. Except that Oklahoma is also that. You know what? You can buy bottle rockets over in Missouri. Well, that'll give them the edge. Missouri.
Gonzaga and UNC Greensboro. That is 4-13.
You know, it's almost lunchtime. Let's go with Gonzaga. Gorgonzola. It's like a cheese.
North Carolina and Lipscomb.
Can I call them Hot Lipscomb? That is an
yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll do Hot Lipscomb.
Okay.
That's an old school joke for people that have seen the movie MASH.
Florida, St. Bonaventure.
St. Bonaventure. I took some French in college. I thought I could woo women like that, but I don't know if it's that women don't respond to the French language anymore or I'm just pretty bad at it.
Texas Tech and Stephen F. Austin. That's 3-14.
everyone around here really loves pro wrestling, so this is a team pick. We're gonna give it to Steve Austin 316, the full bit. Yeah,
that's right. Very good. Very good. Arkansas Butler 7-10.
Big Butler. I like Big Butler, and I cannot lie.
Seton Hall, NC State.
We'll go with Seton. We got some Seton Hall here over at K-State.
We do quite literally have a Seton Hall.
We literally have Seton Hall.
Clemson, New Mexico State, 5-12.
I don't know what a Clemson is. You know what? We'll give it to New Mexico just for hosting the show Breaking Bad. They're going to have a lot of energy on that team is what I'm saying.
Crystal meth joke there, people.
Thank you.
All right, now we're on to the round of 32 here. It's going to start moving quicker. You have K-State against UMBC.
K-State. I'm going to have them winning the tournament because who cares?
Loyola against Wright State.
They're not the wrong state, are they?
Radford, who upset Villanova, and Virginia Tech.
Dude, that's so Radford.
Radford to the Sweet 16. Mizzou and Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. Finally we get Mizzou out of there. Thank goodness.
St. Bonaventure and Butler.
Give it to the Frenchies. Freedom fries.
How would I say that, like with a French accent? I'm trying to...
Saint Bonaventure.
Our Elite Eight now is 9-seed K-State, 14-seed Wright State, 4-seed Gonzaga, 15-seed Hot Lipscomb, Wichita State a 4, St. Bonaventure an 11, Auburn a 4, and Duke a 2. Gonzaga and Hot Lipscomb. This is big.
Cheese versus the movie MASH. I'm going to go with cheese.
Well, it's a nice run for Hot Lipscomb. So we've arrived at a Final Four of K-State, Wichita State, Gonzaga, and Duke.
K-State and Gonzaga, huh?
K-State and Gonzaga, yes.
K-State. And we're going to go WSU, and we're going to have 2 Kansas teams
all right.
in the final.
The Sunflower Showdown National Championship.
So K-State.
And K-State wins it. There's some big news for Johnny Kurtz, and this is how the star is beginning to rise just a little bit. This also ties into the show. The star has started to rise for Johnny Kurtz enough that he has been included on one of those compilation CDs that you'll see. I don't know if you want to call them infomercials, but you'll see the commercials for the compilation CDs, the greatest love songs of all time.
What you're thinking of is the Time Life.
Yes, Time Life, yeah. So if you do like the show, if you like Johnny Kurtz, pay attention to the next 1 minute and 50 seconds, please.
You've heard the game on News Radio KMAN before, but you haven't heard it like this.
It's on its tail in MHK. I'm sweating buckets, bailing this hay. Thinking about my girl's booty shake.
Now you can have a collection of the classics on just one compact disc. Smash hits like the Bruce Weber Pain Train.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
New takes on the songs you know and love.
Celebrate Alex Smith. Come on.
The studio recordings will take your breath away.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man.
There we go.
Sing us a song tonight.
But just wait for the heartfelt live performances. You'll fall in love all over again with your favorite characters.
Wise men say only fools rush.
It's the most wonderful time of the year to be a Patriots fan.
The Game Complete Collection can refresh your soul for the low price of just 3 easy payments of $19.95, plus shipping and handling.
I lost my pretty wife, my dog and truck tonight, 'cause of 30 of Natty Light.
Just call 769-6969 now to get the love back in your life.
Thinking about my girl's booty shake.
Right now joined by K-State Athletics Director Gene Taylor. Appreciate the time as always in joining us, Gene. K-State goes down 51-14 at Oklahoma in Norman on Saturday. 702 yards of total offense for Oklahoma. They outgained K-State 702 to 245. I know you're a very competitive guy, Gene. I've seen you on the sidelines, how into games you get. So what was it like for you to watch the football team lose the way they did to Oklahoma?
You know, it's surprising. I think. I mean, I knew Oklahoma was good. I felt they, could put up a lot of points. They've done it on everybody, right? And I knew, right out of the gate, we were down a pretty good player. But I just was surprised that we couldn't do more offensively, probably more than anything. But, yeah, it was tough to watch.
After the game, Bill Snyder, one of the quotes that stood out to me is he said he wasn't sure if the ship has been in this condition before, and referencing a question about trying to right the ship. How did you take that comment from him after the game?
I don't know how to take it. I've actually thought a lot about it over the weekend, and just kind of replaying that in my head. I think that he's, thinking that by this time of the season, we would have worked a lot of, particularly coming off the way we played against Oklahoma State, feeling pretty good about where we were and maybe heading in a positive direction, and then, not playing as certainly not playing very well against Oklahoma at all. So I think maybe he's just at a loss that, okay, how do you, play really pretty well against Texas second half, Oklahoma State, you go in and you beat them fairly handily, and you saw what they did this week against Texas, and then not have a very good showing at all against Oklahoma. So maybe he's just at a loss to figure out, how to get the team kind of more consistent. I guess how I took it, but I just don't know.
Gene Taylor is our guest, athletic director at Kansas State. I guess maybe a little bit of a difficult question here, but when these types of things are happening where there's ups and downs in what has been a frustrating season for many, what kind of role do you try to play, Gene, with Coach? Do you try to stay out of the way but be there when he needs to talk, or if he needs to talk? How do you see that playing out? How does that play out?
It's really kind of game by game, really, right? I mean, I'll try to stay in the background as much as I can, be there to support him, as positive and as encouraging as I can. And, if he wants to sit down and chat, or, I get a chance to say, Coach, what are you thinking? We'll do that. But more, to try to do something and right in the middle of the season and say, boy, what the heck happened to Oklahoma? Those just things, they're not very effective. And so, I'm really just there to, if he wants to visit about it, or, wants to talk about it, or, or I just need to sit there and say, hey, let's get through this. We'll be fine. That's really kind of my role. The assistants go on, keep their heads up as much as we can. And we got to go out and get ready to play TCU. And, again, we can finish off the year strong and win out. That was, it's going to be difficult, I know, particularly if we don't, get to be playing a little bit more consistently. But it's really more of, let's get through this and figure out a way to continue to get better, and then sit down at the end of the year and figure out what we need to move forward in terms of getting where we're going to be program-wise in the future.
K-State Athletic Director Gene Taylor with us on Wildcat Insider. Along those same lines, what conversations have you had with Coach Snyder since the game ended?
I haven't really much. Post-game, just kind of talked to him a little bit, and, just see how he was doing. And then, obviously, we had a rough weekend with the loss of our rower, so that was kind of where my focus has been. And then I don't really see much of him on Sunday. And today I really haven't talked to him much, just because we've been trying to help the rowing team through the challenges of losing Samantha. So this weekend was a little unusual, obviously, with the difficult loss of Samantha. But even typically on a typical weekend, I don't see him much until Monday and Tuesday before I really have a chance to talk much about it.
I ask every week for questions for Wildcat Insider, and I had a couple of people tweet this: why should they renew season tickets? And I'm sure you get a lot of that. But what would you tell fans who are feeling that way right now about football?
Well, first of all, I understand, and we're all competitive, and we all want our teams to do well and win, and we've been very, very fortunate that Coach has come in, and we've been very consistent over the years in terms of our ability to, win 7-8 games a year and go to a bowl game and win a couple of bowl games the last 2 years in a row. So, the consistency of our program has been pretty strong, and Coach has been notorious for getting things turned around, whether it's late in the season or if we have a down year to get it turned around next year. And I certainly feel that we can. His ability, the coaches that we have on our staff, I trust a great deal. I believe in them. People question why with two coordinators. Yeah, they are inexperienced coordinators, but they're very, very talented football coaches. So I see the kids on our team that care a great deal about getting this thing going and turning around. So, I mean, that's an individual choice of losing or turning in your season tickets. But I also know that the minute you do, you get things turned around, and then you're going, dang, I just gave up my season tickets, and now I got to fight to get back where I was sitting before. So, to just give up after a rough year, I think is a little unfair based on, where our program has been. But that's an individual choice, and they've got to make those decisions, which they feel is best for them, and we'll do the best we can for a program to finish off the year strong and roll into next year as best we can.
Attrition is something that happens quite a bit in college athletics these days. We see it in particular in college basketball, but there have been another couple players leave the football program in season here, and by my count, this is unofficial, obviously, but 25 players that have left since 2017, not to graduation. How much do you worry about that sort of thing?
Well, I think your point of it being, you do have attrition every year, and for a variety of reasons. Kids just being homesick, to kids frustrated about playing time, to other reasons. And I do monitor the number and see where it is. I honestly haven't looked at the number this year, and so it's something that I would probably do at the end of the year. And again, sit down with coach and say, okay, what's going on? And there are some that are pretty self-explanatory, and then all of a sudden you go through. Again, if it's 27, you go through 27, you go 15, 10. So 7, 8 a year is not unusual in a squad, or even 10 or 12 a year is really not unusual with a squad of 120 players. And so you don't react to it until you kind of get down and see the reasons for that. And right now, looking at it, it's something that's going to be something we'll talk about at the end of the year, and probably get an answer that. A lot of them made sense, and then some were maybe disciplinary reasons, and some were kids that just, were frustrated with playing time, and see what that number looks like when it's all said and done.
Gene Taylor, K-State Athletic Director here on Wildcat Insider. Finally here, and I'm pulling this from Twitter because I saw Brian Smoller tweeting about this, but the baseball team had their ALS fundraiser, the part of it, the Shave for Brave childhood cancer fundraiser as well, where they all shave their heads at the end there. Did you come close at all to trying to shave your head to join, as Brian calls it, the Bald and Sexy Club?
Well, I told him that I was already in the Bald Club, the sexy part. I think I'm beyond that now. But it was a really cool event. I did get asked the question yesterday. I said, the difference between you guys and me is you guys can wear hats for the next couple of weeks. I've got to actually go into meetings, and I look like I don't look very good with a bald head. I have a bald head, but whatever little hair I have left, I need to keep it for various reasons. Part of it is just my wife would kill me if I shaved my head. But the cool thing about that is the event, the players' commitment, the culture, and just the amount of money they raised. And I don't know, I just really like what Pete's done with the program early on and his staff. And I think we'll see that eventually on the field in terms of opportunities to be competitive.
Well, Gene, we appreciate the time. I will not fault you for not going all out on the Bald and Sexy Club. That's very understandable. We appreciate the time joining us here, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kurtz, Mitch Fortner. I'll just play the short clip here if you missed it. I played all 3.5 of my questions a couple times on the show already today to Bill Snyder about the quarterbacks, but here is the one where he got upset, just if you had not heard this, to refresh. Coach, is back to the question I asked a second ago. When talking about sparking the offense, were there similarities between what Skyler did?
You write what the hell you want to write.
59457. I'd love to hear your opinion. You disagree with me? You think I was unfair? That's fine. I'd like to hear from you. The Game KMAN. Or text 59457. You can also call us at 537-1350. We talked to Don from Manhattan now. What's up, Don?
Hey, pretty nice little day. Well, let's start at the beginning here. You guys did this to him. You built him up. You gave him a statue, named a stadium after him, gave him a highway, but nobody would ask, what if? And now he's got a pretty good ego, and he's just, he's better than that. He don't a little higher up the food chain there, buddy, and he don't need to answer those tough questions because you don't know who you're talking to. But you're right. I mean, if he's a state employee, and the First Amendment rights come in here. We need to know what's going on and everything. And you did nothing wrong. but he's just not used of having people question his judgment.
Hey, Don, I appreciate the phone call, and you make good points. And like I said, I'm fairly ashamed to admit that I used to be scared of asking questions and scared to do much of this because that is exactly why, Don, that is exactly why this situation has come to pass and come to be. So you're right. If you want to criticize us and say we should have been doing this more all along so it's not this big shock when it happens right now, I think you're totally fair in saying that. So appreciate the phone call. 537-1350. Again, to join us, you can text me at 59457. You can tweet me at the Game KMAN. We welcome in Pam from Manhattan. What's up, Pam?
Hi, I just wanted to comment, John. I'm not a Kansas native, so I'm looking in from the outside. And first of all, I just want to say that I thought your comments, your questions to the coach were spot on. I think I'm rather shocked at the way people kowtow to the coach. I think that he has a legacy that should be respected, but not, he's not God, and people around here act as if he is, and he's not Jesus. And really, and the comments that he made back to you, I went, ooh, that was really inappropriate for him to say that to you. And it just goes to show you that he is not acting professional. And frankly, I think he should have retired at least last season, if not sooner. And that's all I have to say. I think you're doing a good job, and I think you've grown in the couple of years that I've been listening to you. And I think you should stay on course. And Mitch and who's the new guy, Mason? Mason is really impressive for someone of tender years. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate the phone call, Pam. Mason can't even go out to Aggieville and get a drink with us. So when you consider his talents and where he's at this stage in his career, it is pretty amazing. I totally agree with you on that. We go to the phones now and welcome in James from Manhattan. What's up, James?
Hey, buddy, man, the hate the bill train. People are jumping on that, aren't they? Hey, I think a couple things. I think you're absolutely well within your bounds to ask those questions. I think you're right. I think people have given him a wide berth for a long time. And I don't think what people are saying, he thinks he's God and he's arrogant. I don't know. I know Bill personally. I don't believe that. Do I think he's very confident in himself? Yes. Do I think he's pretty sure in his position? Yes, absolutely. And I think that's where that comes out, is statements like, well, you're not on the field. You're not a coach. Well, that's pretty arrogant, but at the same time, that's pretty true. I'm almost positive, though, he went back to his office and he said, man, I didn't handle that quite right. And so there's some frustration coming out. And the other thing that you might know is there's always more behind the scenes than we know. And that sounds to me like there's more there than he's wanting to comment on. With that said, you're well within your bounds to ask those questions. And I'm also going to say, in my personal opinion, and knowing Coach Snyder personally, I think he should have retired a couple years ago. I think the game is just moved on past him a little bit. I think he is a great, great football mind, but I think that he hasn't kept up with some of the rules, and some other coaches have taken advantage of some of those things and has moved the game ahead of him. And he is more interested in recruiting for coachability than talent, and that's pretty evident. And so with that said, keep asking the questions, but be respectful, and hopefully he responds in a professional way. And I'm guessing at some point you're going to get an apology from him saying, okay, I didn't like the question, but I'm sorry I didn't respond to it well either. So anyway, that's my 2 or 3 or 4 cents.
Yeah. Hey, Joel, I appreciate the call. I appreciate you saying all that. I trust me, I want nothing but to be respectful. I've said this before. I will say it again. I do the job that I'm doing. I am here in this seat today because of Bill Snyder. I fell in love with sports by falling in love with K-State football growing up, coming to every single game, every home game that is, from the time I was as young as I can remember up through high school, and then eventually I came to K-State. I have immense respect for Bill Snyder. I have a full grasp on his impact to this town, to this school, to this community. 100% get it. I just also feel like I have to ask some questions here. When the questions need to be asked. And I don't feel like my questions were disrespectful, and I don't want to be disrespectful. So that's where I'm at with this. Again, 537-1350. If you want to join the show, you can text 59457. We talked now to Joel in Manhattan. What's going on, Joel?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Joel Jellison, local celebrity, former Manhattan Mercury sports writer.
Yeah, John, I was just thinking, and I think I texted you this a couple weeks. When a lot of media members ask questions here, tough questions, and I'd been covering Snyder since he came back this last time, just a little bit before you even got on there. But, it's nothing for him to demean a reporter if he thinks the question is out of line or if he just doesn't like it. I think, we've both seen him do that, especially with younger reporters, people who are still in college. I think he kind of develops this reputation where if you don't throw him those softballs, he might make you look like an idiot. There's a lot of moments where somebody asks a question in those press conferences and the rest of us are laughing at Bill's response, and usually it's in some way a little bit demeaning to the reporter that makes us do that a lot of times. But I think this is just the reality. He doesn't like tough questions. He's not ever going to like tough questions because he's been able to hide behind the small media for so long. He's been able to basically do anything he wants here. And, we're in a day and age where a lot more things are being reported, a lot more questions are being asked. There's more numbers. You've been tweeting so many numbers, from Pro Football Focus that weren't really at our fingertips or something that we thought about when he was through his first run. And I think he doesn't know how to handle those kind of questions, but it's nothing new. And I would suspect, I wouldn't expect an apology from him. I think that would shock me. Like the last caller said, I don't think I've ever heard Bill apologize to a reporter for anything he said, and he probably feels he's right for what he said to you today.
Hey, Joel, appreciate the phone call. I greatly appreciate you saying all those things, all those thoughts, because I think they're very accurate, and I'm with you on the apology thing. And look, I don't feel like I deserve an apology. I don't think I'm not here to say any of that. I think we're both in the position that we're in, and I understand why both of us react in the way that we reacted. He doesn't like tough questions. Most people don't. Most people are not comfortable with them, and that's fine. I'm going to be asking the questions because I feel like somebody needs to. And, look, Bill Snyder makes over $3 million a year and is one of the highest paid employees in the state. Joel, are you still there? What does Bill Self make? Do you remember off the top of your head what Bill Self makes?
Oh, he's making similar kind of money, more, obviously, I think. But, the other thing there is that Bill is the only spokesperson for the program. There's a lot of places you can go where you can talk to assistant coaches during the year or get other views, but he is the one voice. He gives you very few players to talk to, and oftentimes he's the only guy you can ask those questions to. So that's the environment he's created. You're right, he's paid a lot. All these coaches are paid a lot to deal with these questions, and it's really up to the reputation they want to develop and the respect they want to show for the reporters to decide how they're going to answer.
Joel, I appreciate it. Hope things are going well with you, with the kiddos and all that. So we'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
537-1350 if you want to join the show. I think we do have another caller coming up here, but we need to break just to stay on schedule. So, again, feel free, 537-1350. We'll go to the phone lines when we come back, 59457, the Game KMAN. A lot of ways to get in touch. What do you make of this whole situation today? This is The Game.